So does anybody have a doubt from exercise 1 of the module? Any questions pending from exercise 1? Let's start with the discussion of those questions. No, just send me the question number on the doubt on the chat, and I will explain the question to you. Okay, question number 5. Yeah, we will discuss that also. Let us complete the doubts of the exercise first. I'm just going in order here. So 6th worksheet and 7th worksheet also will finish, but those are not going to be very difficult. Let's discuss this first. Yeah, so exercise 1, question number 5. Let us start with this. So it's saying that resultant of which following vectors may be equal to 0. So resultant of which of these vectors may be 0. Okay, so for example, option A is giving you the magnitudes of the vectors as 10 newtons, 10 newtons, and 30 newtons. Okay, now this cannot be 0. Okay, because if magnitude of A is 10, magnitude of B is 10, and magnitude of C is 30, you can see that for A plus B plus C to be 0, mod C should be less than equal to mod of A plus mod B. Okay, because C's magnitude has to be equal to magnitude of A plus B. So that is why, so here C is 30 and A and B are 10 each. So this cannot happen. Okay. Now likewise, if you check out one more option, like let us see this option B. In option B, what is happening? The magnitudes are 10, 20, 30 and 40 newtons respectively. Okay. So you can see that in this case it is possible, because if A plus B plus C plus D is equal to 0, it means that D is equal to minus of A plus B plus C. Okay. So that means magnitude of D is equal to mod of A plus B plus C. Okay. And at the same time, C is equal to, so what does this tell us? That the magnitude of D should be less than equal to the magnitude of A plus the magnitude of B plus the magnitude of C. Okay, so here you can see D's magnitude is 40 and A's magnitude is 30, 20, 10, or whatever order you take, it doesn't matter. So you can see that this condition is satisfied. So therefore the resultant can be 0. So yes, this can be 0, but this cannot be 0. So this is how we check the options. So hope it is clear, Rishi. Question number 5 is clear now. Okay, fine. Let's move on to question 13. So in question 13 it is said that a particle starts from the point at t equal to 0. So at time t equal to 0, the position of the particle is given by the point 1 comma 0 comma 0. Okay, and it is moving from this point towards another point which is given to us. So let's say this is this point, let's say point A, and it is moving towards another point B which is given to us as, what is it, 4 4 12, right? Yeah, the coordinates of this point are 4 comma 4 comma 12. So the motion of this body or this particle or whatever, it is directed along this line. Okay. So therefore we can say that the velocity vector is directed along this is what it means. So the velocity's direction is like this. Now given that speed of the particle is 65 meters per second, so how we can express velocity? So that once we express velocity, then we can find out the displacement after 2 seconds. So it is asking the coordinates of the particle or the position of the particle at 2 seconds, how much that will be. Okay. Okay, so Palak, if you can just wait a little bit, let me finish this question, then I'll come back to your doubts. Okay, so let me finish question number 13, then when I ask you for your doubts, you can send me which ones they are there. Because if all of you send all the doubts together, then I cannot check so many messages together, it becomes confusing for me. Okay, so अभी देखो क्या हो रहा है, we want to find out, so this is where the particle is at t equal to 0. Okay, now it's moving along this line, so let us say at t equal to 2 seconds, it reaches somewhere here. So this one's coordinates we want to find out, this point C. So how we'll find the coordinates of this point? We'll see that the displacement from 0 to 2 seconds is nothing but velocity into time. So it should be whatever velocity vector we get multiplied by 2 seconds. So from that we'll get the displacement, and from that we'll get the coordinates. So first of all, how do we get the velocity? So for velocity, we have to see that the velocity vector is along the line AB. Okay, so that means velocity vector is along a unit vector n cap, where n cap is nothing but the vector AB divided by its magnitude. Think of AB like a displacement. So it is that vector AB divided by its magnitude. That is the unit vector. Okay? So then we can say that the velocity is the speed, which is 65 meters per second, multiplied by n cap. So now we need to find out this n cap, how much this is. Okay. So you can see the coordinates of the point A are 1 0 0. The coordinates of the point B are 4 4 12. So what is the displacement from A to B, that line as a vector? It is 4 minus 1 3 I cap plus 4 minus 0, that is 4 j cap, plus 12 minus 0, that is 12 j cap. So the magnitude is this much, it's 13. So therefore n cap, which is that unit vector, is nothing but 3 I cap plus 4 j cap plus 12 k cap divided by 13. So now once I know this n cap, I know that my velocity vector is therefore how much? It is 65 into this unit vector, 3 I cap plus 4 j cap plus 12 k cap, whole thing divided by 13. So 13 5s are 65, so this will become 15 I cap plus 20 j cap plus 60 k cap. Let's say these are in meters and time is in seconds, so this is the velocity vector. So now I've reached up to this step. I've got the velocity vector. Now next what I have to do, I have to get the displacement. Okay. So therefore in 2 seconds, the displacement is velocity multiplied by 2 seconds. So the displacement becomes 30 I cap plus 40 j cap plus 120 k cap in meters. Okay, so therefore the vector AC is this displacement, this one. So A's coordinates are 1 0 0. So if C's coordinates are some x y z, you can see that x is equal to 1 plus 30, that is 31, y is equal to 0 plus 40, that is 40, and z is equal to 0 plus 120, that is 120. So the position C is 31, 40, 120. Or we can write the position vector. In vector form, we can write it as 31 I cap plus 40 j cap plus 120 j cap. So this becomes our final answer. Okay. So this is an application of vectors in three-dimensional kinematics. When a particle is moving with respect to a three-dimensional coordinate frame, so it has all three components, x, y, z components of velocity, displacement, and all this. So this is how we deal with this kind of thing. Okay, so hope you understood this 13th question, Rishi. Okay, now we will come to Palak's doubts. So they are question number 3, 4. So let's start with question 3 and 4 of exercise 1. So hope you have understood this. If anybody has a doubt, please discuss with me. Yes, Hitanshu, what is your doubt? Tell me. Do you have any doubts from exercise 1 of the module? Okay. So 3 and 4 I will be discussing. Okay, so let's come to question 3 and 4 then. Yeah, Hitanshu, wait a little. Let me complete these doubts first, then I'll come to the next ones. I cannot do 5 doubts at the same time. No? Don't confuse me by giving me 10 different questions. So question 3 is saying a displacement vector is at an angle of 30 degrees with the y-axis and has a x component of 10 units. Okay, then the magnitude of the vector is how much? So just understand this geometrically. No? So this is very simple question. You just follow the instructions of the question. If this is your x-axis and this is your y-axis, and it is given that there is a vector whose angle is 30 degrees with respect to the y-axis. Okay, pay attention to the question. The angle given is with respect to the y-axis, not with respect to the x-axis. So it must be like this. Let us say this is the vector A or whatever, and this angle is 30 degrees, whereas it's given to us that its x component is 10. So now what is difficult in this? Ax कितना है? Plus 10 है. So Ay we can find out easily. We can find out how much Ay is. So we can see that now this angle is 60 degrees. No? So Ax, which is A cos 60, is 10. So that means magnitude of A is 20. Okay, which also means that Ay, which is A sine 60, should become 10 root 3. So the vector A should be 10 I cap plus 10 root 3 j cap. This is the most basic type of question, which is just about expressing the vector in component form from the given geometry. Okay, let's come to question 4 after this. So the question is asked to magnitude of the vector. So magnitude of the vector is, you can see, is 20. So that's the answer. Okay, question 4. Displacement vector r has a magnitude of 25 and makes an angle of 210 with the x-axis. So same type of question. You have to deal with it in the same type of way also. So what you do is you make your xy system here, and in that system now you understand that your displacement vector is making an angle of 210 with respect to the x-axis. Somewhere here, this angle is 210 degrees, which means that this angle is 30 degrees. Okay, and this is given to us in magnitude of 25 meters. So you can see that this displacement's x component is 25 cos 210, and this displacement's y component is 25 sine 210. So this will become minus 12.5, and this will become minus 12.5 root 3. So the vector can be written as okay. So again, it's down to basic trigonometry. You should be able to figure this out, Hitanshu, that cos 210 is minus cos 30 is minus root 3 by 2, and sine 210 is minus sine 30 is minus half. That's all you have to do in this question. Okay. Yeah, next, Hitanshu, you have doubts in 5th, is it? No, 9th and 15th. Okay. And Rishi, you have a doubt something before that, question 8 or something? Yes, Rishi, you have a doubt in question 8, is it? Okay. So let's look at question 8 and 9 next. So it says a body is constrained to move only in the y direction under the action of a force. Okay. So the force acting on it is minus 2 I cap plus 15 j cap plus 6 k cap in newtons, let's say. And it's saying that the body moves only along the y-axis, so its displacement should have only y component. It moves 10 meters, so it must be moving 10 j cap. So the question is telling you that it can move only along the y-axis. So the x and z component of displacement must be 0. So if I'm saying displacement is 10 meters, it must be 10 meters along the y-axis. So work done we have to calculate. So that I've told you is the direct application of dot product. It's a definition you will be learning in a later chapter also. So work done is given by scalar product or dot product of these two. So it is nothing but how much this become plus 150 joules. As you can see that this dot product, you should write like this now. So these two are 0 and this one in between is plus 1. Right, Rishi, this is clear? Okay, Rishi, I hope this question is clear. Let's move on to question number 9. Now, question 9 is saying that we have a vector A, which is I cap plus j cap, and a vector B, which is I cap minus j cap. Okay. And a vector C, which is perpendicular to both of them. C is perpendicular to A and B, and magnitude of C is equal to 3. Now, this is very easy. You can understand that A cross B is AB sine theta n cap, where n cap is the unit vector perpendicular to both A and B. So therefore, C is of magnitude 3 but along that direction. So it could be plus minus 3 n cap. So we just need to find what is n cap. So to find n cap, what you do is you calculate cross product. So that you can see is 1 1 1 minus 1 k cap. So it is minus 2 k cap. Okay. So that means A cross B has a magnitude of 2 and its direction is minus k cap. That means C could be plus or minus 3 k cap. Could be plus 3 k cap or minus 3 k cap, both of them. I mean, in this case, the vectors are in the xy plane only, so it is, you can directly understand it also. Okay. But if they are three-dimensional vectors, then you have to use the cross product method. यहाँ पे तो directly दिख रहा है A and B are in the xy plane, so the unit vector perpendicular to them is obviously k cap. So you can see that A and B are in xy plane. So that means that C being perpendicular to NB is along plus or minus k cap. So therefore directly C is plus or minus 3 k cap. But this has been a more general type of question with three-dimensional components. This is how you do that. Okay. So after ninth, I think somebody had 11th question. Rishi, you had doubt in 11th question. Okay. Yeah, Sneha, I'll discuss 11th. Right. So let's come to question 11 now. So it's saying that you have a particle moving eastward with a velocity of 5 meters per second. So let's say I represent that initial velocity towards east as the initial velocity. So I'll write it as v initial is 5 meters per second towards what I have taken as my east direction. So this is my north direction. Okay. Now after some time it turns and makes a, its velocity changes to, after 10 seconds it changes to 5 meters per second northwards. So the final velocity after some time is, if I draw it from the common origin, it's like this. This is the final velocity, and this is also 5 meters per second. Okay. So now what will be the average acceleration? It is change in velocity upon change in time. So it is final velocity minus initial velocity upon the time interval. And delta t is given to us as 10 seconds. Okay. So how we'll find this difference? We'll just use vector algebra. So you can see in this diagram, the difference of these two vectors is this. This vector here is delta v, or final minus initial. When we draw, a vector parallelogram like this, remember this represents head of B to head of A represents A minus B. So like that, head of Vi to head of Vf, and this parallelogram in this case will be a square. So the diagonal going from head of one vector to the other is the difference. So if it is going from I to F, it is F minus I. If it was going from F to I, it would be I minus F. But we need this, no? So it's like this. So now in this triangle, you can see these two are equal and this is 90. So this resultant will be how much? It will be 5 root 2. So we can see that this is 5 root 2 meters per second divided by 10 seconds. So that is 1 by root 2 meters per second square. Okay. This is the magnitude of the average acceleration. And what about its direction? So you can see this angle is 45. So the direction is between west and north. So it is this much towards northwest. Okay. Or if you want to say more precisely, 45 degrees north of west. But because it's 45 degrees, is the bisector, so it's enough to say northwest. So hope this is clear to both of you, Rishi and Sneha. Okay. Then I think next, Hitanshu, you have a doubt in the 15th question, right? Anybody has a doubt in question before 15? 13th. Okay. So let's do question 13 first. Oh, 13 we are done, right? In the beginning. I think you joined late. Did you join the class late? Okay. So just see it from the recording now. We have done 13th, I think was the first question we did today or something. One of those. Okay. So I have recorded the question. I mean, recorded it from the beginning. So just go through it from the recording. Let's come to 15th question then. So it says magnitude of the resultant of two forces 3p and 2p is r. Okay. So let's say force F1 is of magnitude 3p. Okay, let me check. Okay, let's do the question anyway. Magnitude of F2 is 2p, and it's saying that F1 plus F2 resultant is of magnitude capital R. This is given to us. This is given. Okay. Then further it is saying that if the first force is doubled, then the magnitude of the resultant is also doubled. So 2f1 अगर कर देता हूँ plus f2, then इसका mod 2r हो जाता है. Okay, so let us understand this. So basically, see, if this is the case of the addition of f1 and f2, the angle between them being theta, so the resultant sum being this one. So this is r. This is the sum of f1 plus f2, and it is given to us that these are of magnitude 3p and 2p. So this gives us one equation. So this is related to this, and this gives us one equation that r square is equal to 3p square plus 2p square plus 2 times 3p into 2p into cos theta. So you get r square is equal to 9 plus 4, that is 13, plus 12 cos theta into p square. That's our first equation. Okay. Now let's understand what we'll get from this. So if we make a vector diagram now for this resultant, you will see that 2f1 will be in the same direction as f1, but it will have double the magnitude. So this will be the vector 2f1. इसका magnitude कितना हो जाएगा? इसका magnitude हो जाएगा 6p, but the angle it is making with f2 will be the same. It will be the same theta as this one, and f2 is again of magnitude 2p. Okay. And this time their resultant, the resultant of these two is this one, and apparently it has a magnitude of 2r. Okay, this is your 2f1 plus f. So what does this give us? This gives us the relation that this is equal to. So now we write this relation and solve it with the first one. Okay, so that's all we have to do here. So this gives you that this is equal to 6p whole square plus 2p whole square plus 2 times 6p into 2p into cos of the same angle. So this tells me that 4r square is equal to 36 plus 4, so that's 40p square. So 40 plus, we can take p square common. So 40 plus 24 cos theta p square, or it says that r square is equal to 10 plus 6 cos theta into p square. Okay. Now compare equation 1 and 2. So r square 13 plus 12 cos theta is equal to 10 plus 6 cos theta. Okay. So you will get 6 cos theta is minus 3. So cos theta is minus half. That means theta should be 120 degrees. Okay. So this is a more typical type of question with little bit more solving. So just make sure you note down the solution properly and understand each and every step. Ask me if there's any doubt. Hitanshu, this is clear step by step. The answer is 120 degrees as you can see and not 60 degrees. So just make sure you understood the mistake you made. Okay, any other doubt in exercise 1? Anybody? Question 21. Okay, Tanshu 21. Anything before question 21? Anybody has a doubt in any question before 21? No, good. So let's come to question 21. All right, very good. So next up we will look at question 21. So इसमें क्या हो रहा है? So this is a direct question based on that projection concept that we had learned earlier. Okay. So you have to just execute that properly here. The method and formula I have given you. So this is vector E and vector B is 2i cap plus j cap plus 2k cap. Okay. So the projection of B on A. Okay. So you can also say it is along E, or you can also say it is parallel to E. There are different names for the same thing. So basically, what does it mean that if this is one vector A and this is one vector B, this is a vector A and this is a vector B, and the angle between them is theta. So when we drop this perpendicular from B onto A, and then we express this component as a vector quantity, so this is the projection of B on A or parallel to A. So we write this as this. Okay. Whereas if we project on the perpendicular direction, it's the other one. So anyway, so here you can see that B parallel has a magnitude of B cos theta, and B parallel is along the vector E. It is along this vector. So therefore, we got the formula for this. It is B cos theta into A cap. Okay. So this all I'm repeating the analysis. You're supposed to go from here directly to this because this is the formula. But in case you've forgotten the concept of it, I'm just explaining how this comes. Okay. So here now, what is B cos theta? It is E dot B divided by magnitude of E. So calculate E dot B. So E dot B from there you can see is 1 into 2 Ax bx plus 2 into 1 Ay by plus 2 into 2 Az bz. Okay, so that is 4 plus 4, 8. Okay, and magnitude of A you can see is square root of 1 plus 4 plus 4, so that's 3. So that's very simple. So this is 8 by 3, and E cap is nothing but vector A divided by its magnitude. That is nothing but I plus 2j plus 2k divided by 3. So now B parallel will just become the product of these two things. B cos theta, which is 8 by 3, into A cap, which is, okay, divided by 3. So you can see it is 8 by 9 I cap plus 16 by 9 j cap plus 16 by 9 k cap. Or you can take 8 by 9 common and write it that way also. It doesn't really matter. However you want to write it. So we have taken a very large portion of the the lecture where we had understood the applications of dot product to discuss about projection. So please go through that carefully, okay, because this is a directly formula based question from that. If you're clear with that concept from the lecture, they should not take any time. It's just directly formula based. Okay, let's come to exercise 2 now. Anyone has doubts in exercise 2, please tell me the number of the question. Okay, so exercise 2, question number 1 to 5 and 9. Right. Let us discuss these. So Hitanshu, have you understood this question 21 properly? Okay. So let's start with question 1 of exercise 2. Okay, so in this what is happening is, now the thing is, in this we have to check each and every option because there's a more than one option question. So we have to check which of the options are correct. So that means this type of question little bit more lengthy. You have to individually check each option and see which ones are giving the correct information and which one are not giving correct information. So A is like this, B is like this. Okay, theta is the angle between A and B. Okay. Now, which one of these statements is correct? So, for example, the first statement is saying that if I take a unit vector given by, oh sorry, if I just take this vector, magnitude of A cos theta into I cap plus j cap, whole thing by root 2 is the component of A along B. So we have to check whether this is correct or not. Okay. So just now use that concept now. So you know that A's component along B, A's component along B, this thing, we can write this as A cos theta into B cap. Okay. Where we know the formula for A cos theta, it's A dot B divided by mod B. And we know the formula for B cap, it is B divided by mod B. But here you can see that this is already given not in form in magnitude. It's just given as a formula. So this is correct. This part is correct. This thing we have to check. This we already know this is correct. We have to check. So it should be what? It should be B cap. So therefore we should check how much this is. If we check that this is I cap plus J cap by root 2, then the answer is correct. So check. So B cap is nothing but the vector B divided by its magnitude. So it's correct. So we know that yes, this is correct. So therefore we know this option is correct. A cos theta into B cap. This only is A cos theta into I plus J by. And that only is the component of B parallel to A. So this is correct. Okay, understood now. Rishi, hope you have understood this. Okay, now the second option is a little bit more complicated because we have to find the perpendicular component. Okay. So now for the second option, we have to verify that the component of A which is perpendicular to B, this thing is A sine theta into I cap minus J cap by root. We have to check if this is correct. Okay. Now we know that this A perpendicular is basically A sine theta into some kind of unit vector. But that unit vector is which one? This n cap is perpendicular to B. So how do we find it? So also we know that A perpendicular is the vector A minus the parallel component. Okay. So given that the vector A was this and the vector B was this, So parallel component मेरा क्या हो गया? It is a cos theta into b cap. So that is nothing but a dot b into b cap. Okay. Now a dot b you can see here is 7, and this is b cap. B's magnitude is root 2, and just now we had seen that this unit vector is this. Okay. So that means we can write the parallel component as 7 by 2 I cap plus 7 by 2 j cap. Okay. So this is the parallel component in numerical form. This we didn't have to check for the first part because it was given in formula shape. It was not given in numerical shape. Okay. So now we substitute this here. So this is 3i plus 4j minus 7 by 2 plus 7 by 2 j. So this A perpendicular now is becoming minus 1 by 2 I cap plus 1 by 2 j cap. Okay. So now you can see that n cap क्योंकि इसका यूनिट वेक्टर है वो कितना होगा, ये वेक्टर डिवाइडेड बाय its own magnitude. So it is minus half I cap plus half j cap divided by its own magnitude. That n cap will come out to be minus 1 by root 2 I cap plus 1 by root 2 j cap. So therefore now we can say that okay, A sine A perpendicular should be A sine theta into this unit vector. So it should be this your substitute. So on substituting this here we got this. Okay, so no doubt this is lengthy question, but then you can expect that at J advanced level, more than one option questions are going to be more lengthy. And then C and D you can rule out because it's asking for the same thing. No? So you already got A and B as correct. So you can, sorry, B is not correct. D is the correct option. So based on this, you can see option D is correct and option A is correct. So this is there in option D. So option A is correct, B is wrong, C is wrong, D is correct. So hope this is clear, Rishi. Aditi, is the substitution clear now? Okay, which part? This perpendicular component part? Okay. So just see what we're doing here. The perpendicular component of the vector is the vector itself minus the parallel component. So parallel component क्या होता है? We just saw it is this thing into b cap. So now we know A and B. Na? So from that we found out A cos theta was A dot B divided by magnitude of B. So A dot B we just saw was 7. Just calculate the dot product of these two. Na? So you can see that A dot B here is 3 into 1 plus 4 into 1. So it is 7. And just calculate the magnitude of the vector B. You can see it is root 2. So this is becoming 7 by root. Okay. And B cap is vector B divided by mod B. So that we've already seen. So now multiply these two. No? So that's how you're getting the parallel component. It is A cos theta which is 7 by root 2 into b cap, which we just saw is I cap plus j cap by root 2. So this is giving us my parallel component. Is this clear now, Aditi? So just multiply this. So 7 by 2 I cap plus 7 by 2 j cap. इससे क्या आ गया अपने पास पैरेलल कंपोनेंट. दिस इज क्लियर सो फार. ओके. नाउ परपेंडिकुलर कंपोनेंट के लिए क्या करना है? वी हैव टू सब्ट्रैक्ट. So it is vector A minus the parallel component. So take this vector, subtract the two. So that is the step we have done over here. This you substituted here, we subtracted. So we got this. Now we have to find this one's unit vector. No? So we know that see A perpendicular is A sin theta into n cap. But what we are trying to find out? We are trying to find out n cap. So इस वेक्टर का यूनिट वेक्टर क्या होगा? n cap. That is a vector divided by its mod. So that is this. So that's how we got the unit vector is this. Okay. So that's why I said that this is a very extremely lengthy kind of question, but this is the way to solve it. Okay. Let's come to the second question. Okay, you need time to write this down. Fine. Just take a minute, finish writing this down. Okay, so done with the writing part. Okay, good. So let's move on to second question, which I think again Rishi you have only asked. Second is somewhat easier question, similar kind of concept, but so much of solving is not required, because in this we don't have to find the projection, we just have to find that which is a vector perpendicular, which is a vector parallel, like that. So we are given two vectors. This, the second vector, this. Now for example, this one is saying that a unit vector perpendicular to A is minus j cap plus k cap divided by root 2. Okay. So now to check this, what we should do, whether this option is correct or not, to check, we should first of all see that is this a unit vector. So we should check its magnitude. इसका mod कितना है we should check. So we can see that is square root of That's 1. So fine, it's a unit vector. Okay. Now next thing we should check is that is it perpendicular to A or not. So how do we check the perpendicular condition? Remember I told you easiest. So first thing you check this. Second thing, is it perpendicular to A? So for that what should happen? Dot product. Yes, very good. That's the correct answer. Dot product with A should be 0. So check that. Okay. So minus j cap plus k cap divided by root 2 का a के साथ डॉट प्रोडक्ट कितना हो गया? 2 I cap plus j cap plus k cap, that is 0. So that's correct. So therefore it's correct. Option A is it's a true statement. So this is that much easier. So Rishi, this is clear. Okay. So that is how you can check all the options which are saying that you are looking for a unit vector perpendicular to one of them. So like if it is with respect to B, then the dot product with B should be 0. If it's with respect to A, then the dot product with A should be 0. If it's perpendicular to both A and B, then the dot product with both should be 0. So you can get an option like that also. Though in this question there is no option like that. It's only one at a time. Now the other type of option there is that unit vector parallel to A or parallel to B. So that we already know now how to check for unit vector along the vector A or parallel to vector A, that is nothing but A cap, that is vector A divided by its own magnitude, or along B, that is nothing but vector B divided by its own magnitude. So that you know how to do. For example, this one is 2I plus j plus k divided by its own magnitude. So that's square root of 6. So this should be this. And this should be B was what? I cap plus j cap plus k cap, I think it was. Yeah. So divide that by its own magnitude. That's root 3. So B's unit vector or the unit vector parallel to B or along B, any of these statements you can make, that is this, and similarly A's unit vector is this one. So this is how you can check those options which are about the parallel unit vectors. Okay, so hope both the parts are clear. Yes, I'll scroll up and give you time to write this down. Yeah. So just finish writing this down, then we'll come to question number 5. Hitanshu has a doubt in question 5. Anyone has doubt in third or fourth? Please let me know. Yeah, okay. Finish writing this down. We'll discuss. Okay, so we'll do fourth and fifth next. So let's understand question 4. So question 4 is one of those conceptual type of questions. It can be a little tricky sometimes. So pay close attention to what I'm saying here so that you understand. So what the question is saying is that it's saying that A and B are in one plane. Now C lies in a different plane. Okay. So C lies in a different plane to A and B. Okay. So what that means that suppose A and B are lying, I mean A and B when you draw them, they are two vectors like this. या तो ऐसा होगा acute angle या ऐसा होगा obtuse angle. Whatever be the case, whichever of the two is the case, you can see what is the plane of A and B. The plane of A and B is nothing but the plane of the parallelogram or the triangle made by them, whether the angle is acute or obtuse. So if I just construct a parallelogram, then the plane of this parallelogram's plane, whichever of the two cases it is, that is the plane of A and B. Okay. Now it's saying that C, now the vector C is not in this plane. Okay. So that means, for example, that if I take my XY system as this, okay. So suppose I assume I've taken my XY coordinate frame such that the plane of A and B, let XY plane is the plane of A and B. Okay. That is the plane of the parallelogram formed by them. So that means the vector A is having X and Y component. The vector B is having X and Y component, but A's Z component is 0. B's Z component is 0 because they are lying in the plane of A and B. Okay. But now C is not in this plane. So what does that mean? C is not in this plane. It means that C के लिए, okay, CZ is definitely not 0. That means C definitely has a Z component. Okay, it's lying not in the plane of the paper. It's lying somewhere else. It might be perpendicular to the screen. It may not be, but definitely it is not in the screen. Understood this point, Beta? Is this point clear? You can visualize this now. That vector A and B are lying in the screen's plane, in the plane of the screen. But C is not lying in that screen's plane. It is lying somewhere outside that plane. So then what we can say about C? And we can definitely say that therefore from this and this we can see that A plus B plus C cannot be 0. It is non-zero always. Because ये Z component जो C का है उसको cancel करने के लिए A and B doesn't have any Z component ना. So at least the sum of A, B and C has to be CZ. It cannot be less than CZ. And CZ is non-zero. Okay, Aditya, have you understood the question? Hope you have understood the question, Aditi. ये जीरो क्यों नहीं हो सकता है? Because C has a Z component, whereas A and B don't have Z component. So the resultant Z component cannot be zero, no? So this is non-zero. And also one more thing we can say that, and this resultant A plus B plus C is not in the XY plane. So therefore, it is not in A and B's plane. It does not lie in the plane in which A and B lie. Okay, let's come to the fifth question. So saying which of these are meaningful operations. Okay. So for example, this. Now you can see that yes, this is meaningful. Why? Because this is a vector, this is a vector. So firstly, this is meaningful. Why? Because we can take cross product of two vectors only. Okay. Now this itself is some vector, because that is the definition of cross product. So u dot v cross w is nothing but u dot c. Now this is also meaningful because we can take dot product for two vectors only. So on either side of the dot product we have a vector symbol. So it makes sense. Oh, Aditi, you had to write down the previous question. I'll take you back to that. Don't worry. So Hitanshu, is the first part clear of this? Aditi, I'll take you back to that question. Don't worry. So Hitanshu, is this part okay? Good. Now see, supposing in the same question, yeah, I got it. Good. In the same question, suppose I had an option like this, that I have to take u cross of v dot w. Now, suppose I had an option like this, then this you would see it does not make sense. Why? Because v dot w is a scalar quantity. It's not a vector quantity. So now u cross v dot w is u's cross product with a scalar. So this doesn't make sense. This is meaningless. So now this thing here, it is meaningless because cross product only applies to vector quantities. You cannot take cross product of a scalar and a vector. Understood, the Nitanju? So this is how we have to check all the options. Okay. So what you do is, while we are going through the previous question one more time, you just try out the options of this by using this method. You'll see the options will make sense now. Which one is correct and which one is not correct. You'll be able to make sense of it. Okay. So try to finish question number 5 yourself, and then tell me which other questions you have doubt in. After 5, which are the questions? Okay, so hope you have figured out the fifth question. Right, so we will next discuss the seventh and eighth question. Then we'll move on to the next exercise. Question 7 and question 8. Okay, let's discuss these two. Just a minute, I will share that file again. A moment. Okay, so question 7, saying situation may be described by using different set of coordinate axes. Which of the following depend on the orientation? So again, this is a fundamental type of question we have to understand. So suppose I have one coordinate frame which is like this. So this is my XY system, and there is some kind of a vector which is, let's say, like this, which, let's say, making an angle alpha over here. So in the XY system, we will write the vector A as E cos alpha I cap plus E sin alpha j cap. So the x component of this will become E cos alpha. The y component will become A sin alpha. The magnitude of the vector is A, like this. Okay. Now if somebody else makes a different coordinate frame, for some reason they decide that no, their coordinate frame is not like this, their coordinate frame is like this. This is their x axis and this is the y axis. Somebody else is working in a different kind of system, like this, where this is the x prime axis, this is the y prime axis. Okay, they are mutually perpendicular, but they are now like this, where now this angle is beta. So in the x prime y prime system, what will happen is that the same vector A will now be called A cos beta, but I cap prime because it's along the x prime axis, plus A sin beta j cap prime. So in this system, the components are going to be like this. Okay. So you can see by changing the coordinate frame, changing the orientation of the coordinate frame, what has happened? The components have changed. But what about the vector? It's not changed. The vector A is the same. It is of same magnitude. It is drawn in the same way. But only the way we are expressing it in component form is changing. So that is how we answer this question. So coming to the options of question 7, we can see it says that a situation may be described by using different set of coordinates having different orientation. Which of the following do not depend on the orientation of the scale of the axis? So obviously A option is saying the value of a scalar, it does not depend. So it does not depend. So obviously does not is the answer. But B is saying component of a vector, yes, it depends. Okay, it depends on that. Then option C is saying the vector itself, it does not, because the magnitude and direction of the vector does not depend on the axis. It's only the components which depend on the axis. The vector arrow A itself has not changed when I change the coordinate frame. It is only the components of A which are written with respect to I cap, j cap, or I prime cap and j prime cap. Those are changing. And magnitude of a vector is obviously also, that's also not changing. So I have tick marked where it does not, where it depends on. So so obviously magnitude of a vector does not depend on. So only one of these four things depends on the coordinate orientation, and that is the component. So hope the question is clear. I think Sneha, this was your doubt. Oh, Sakshi, sorry. Yeah. Sakshi, this was your doubt. The question is clear, beta? Okay. Now, Rishi, you have a doubt in question number 9, right? So let's discuss that. So magnitude of the cross product of two vectors, A cross B, that is AB sine theta. Okay. So now in this you can see that sine theta will range between 0 and 1, no? Because obviously theta is between 0 and 180 degrees. Okay, Kushi, I'll come to eighth question also. So I'll miss that out. I'll come back to eighth question. Okay. So that means mod of A cross B is like this. It can be anything from 0 to AB. Okay. So A cross B has a magnitude AB for theta equal to 90 degrees. Okay. And A cross B has a magnitude of 0 for theta equal to 0 or 180 degrees. And for any other value is greater than 0 but less than AB for theta between 0 and 90, or theta between 90 and 1. Okay, so Rishi, hope this is clear. Let's come to question 8 next. Okay, so now let us say in 8 we have a number of vectors. So the resultant is the sum of few vectors. Let's say a1, a2, like this up to an. Okay, so that means the resultant's x component is a1's x component plus a2's x component plus, like this, an's x component. Okay, now any vector's x component is less than equal to the vector's magnitude, because basically, see, if I have a vector which is just ax I cap, then the magnitude of the vector is ax. But if I have a vector which is this, then the magnitude of the vector g is greater than ax, no? So it can be equal to, can be greater than, but magnitude of a cannot be less than x. Right? So that means Rx is less than equal to, because each of these is less than equal to the magnitude of the vector. Okay. So the x component of the resultant. So Rx यहाँ पे क्या है? It is that only ना. R is the resultant of n number of vectors. Okay. So Rx is the x component of the resultant R. So that is less than equal to the sum of the magnitudes. So accordingly in question 8 we can see which option is correct. Is equal to the sum, not necessarily. May be smaller than, yes. May be greater than, cannot be. Cannot be greater than. May be equal to or may be smaller than. So B and C are the correct options. Sorry, B and D are the correct options. May be smaller than, yes, and may be equal to. So B and D are correct. But C is wrong because it can never be greater than. It says may be greater than. And E is also wrong because it's saying that it will be, but it may not be. No? It's saying that it is equal to the sum of the sum of the x components. Yes, so that's correct. So option A is also correct because the x component of the resultant is equal to the sum of the x components. So that's also correct because this statement, this is basically, this is giving you statement E, and this is giving you the logic of both statement B and statements, and it's showing you why C is wrong. Is it clear, Kushi? Okay, very good. Fine. Finish writing this down. Now, Hidanshu, you had some doubts in exercise 4. Let's discuss those. Let's try to finish the module doubts at least today. Yeah, if anybody has doubt in exercise 3 or 4, let me know. Otherwise, we will come back to worksheet 6 and 7. Finish any doubts in that. So, Hidanshu, I think you got logged out or? Yeah, exercise 4. Yeah, tell me, Hidanshu, which questions? Question 2. Okay. Okay. So, 2, 3, and 4. We'll discuss these 3 questions. Okay, let's start with these. So, question 2, na, you can just use a simple relation like this. Na. For example, it is asking you to find the direction of force, given that force is Q, B cross B. So let's take one of the cases. Okay, so in second case, Q is a negative quantity. Okay, and let's take the third diagram. So in the third diagram, you can see that now they've drawn the diagram such that it is shown that the capital B vector is along the z-axis and velocity vector is along the negative y-axis. So we can write B as plus B k cap, okay, and we can write V as minus V j cap, and we can write Q as negative of some value. So let's say it's negative of some amount of charge. So we'll write it as minus capital Q. So what about the force? It is minus Q into V, which is minus V j cap, cross product with positive V k cap. So it becomes QVB minus minus cancels J cross K. Now you remember your IJK concept like this or XYZ concept like this. The circularity. Okay. So I cross J is positive of K. J cross K is positive of I. And K cross I is positive of G. Similarly, if you go opposite the circle, then J cross I is minus K and like that. Okay. So here we have J cross K. So that's this one. So you can see that it is QVB I cap. So it is along x-axis. Understood, Hitanshu? Now you can just try out one of the other examples of this by the same method. Okay, good. Okay, so can you complete the other examples yourself, like the other options? Same way, na? Just right. Okay. Now let's move on to question 3. So what we have to do in question 3 is that you have to find E minus B plus C. Which part of question 3 you want to do, Hitanshu? Or Om actually? Om, you have asked the question. So anyway, let's work out. So vector E is given to us. Vector C is given to us as first of all we have to figure out vector R, which is given to us as E minus B plus C. So let's do this operation. So first let's figure out vector R. So A minus B plus C. So x component will become 5 minus of minus 2 plus 4. Then y component will become 4 minus 2 plus 3. And z component will become minus 6 minus 3 plus 2. So this is becoming 11 I cap plus 5 j cap and then minus 7 k cap. So ये vector r हो जा रहा है. So this is the first part. Now for example you have to find the angle of r with respect to some axis or something. Just use direction cosine. So now if the vector r makes alpha, beta and gamma with respect to x, y and z axis, and you know direction cosines, cos alpha is x component divided by mod r, cos beta is y component divided by mod r. So in this case, this is 11 divided by square root of, I guess, this is 5 divided by square root of, okay. And similarly for cos gamma. Have you understood this home? Seven. So mod r, okay, so hope this is clear. Let's move on to the fourth question. So Hitanshu, which part of the fourth question you wanted? Fourth करना था या fifth करना था? Fourth B part, okay. So we have to again find the component of E along B or on B, whatever. So that is just given by that formula. This formula where A cos theta is the dot product divided by magnitude of B, So from here you can see dot product is how much? 6 plus 20, 26, and magnitude of B is square root of 4 plus 16, 2 root 5. So this is 26 upon 2 root 5, 13 by root 5, and B cap this. Okay, अच्छा magnitude of component बोला था. So magnitude is just this much only. So we already found out. इसका जो magnitude है वो कितना होता है? A cos theta, which we already found out. 13 by root 5. Okay, so hope this is clear. Yeah, fine. Note it down. But this is just formula based. Na? Abhi to we had done those questions based on this same type of formula. Finish writing this down and then we'll discuss eighth question. Okay, let's come to eighth question. Okay, okay. Finish writing this down. Wait a minute. Okay, so eighth question, it's just a bit of algebra. Ajay, you got eighth. Very good. ठीक है. All right, people. So we will conclude today's lecture here and just complete access the worksheet number 6 and 7. Try to complete all the questions or at least attempt all the questions before the next lecture. I think you will find those easier compared to the questions that we've discussed today. If you have any doubts in worksheet 6 and 7, you can also send me on WhatsApp and I will give you some hints so that way maybe you can complete them before the next lecture. And next time we will be starting with the chapter Newton's laws of motion. Okay. So for Newton's laws of motion, we'll also be using reference. Okay, I will resend them. Okay, I will also be sending. I mean, we'll also be using a reference book, H.C. Verma, okay, for Newton's laws of motion. So you can please try to get hold of a copy of H.C. Verma or at least the PDF, and you can also read the chapter of Newton's laws of motion before we start. That's it for today's class, people. Thanks for attending.